Large engagement into the middle map. Constant action. A battlecruiser and siege tank are pulled in. They're pulled in twice. The tank has been destroyed, but this battlecruiser was able to absorb so much damage. It was able to escape, but these locusts are just constantly battering down Lucifron's defenses. These points defense drones are going to run out of energy very soon. And here's another wave of locusts. So this strategy is working out for our Zerg player, as he's just sitting behind a wall of spore crawlers and queens. And these battlecruisers are not able to do very much. This one has to be very careful. Might get pulled in again. There we go. Pulled in twice with so many queens and 10 spore crawlers focusing down. That battlecruiser explodes in the air. One stray Viking is also picked off. So this strategy is working wonderfully for Goswser user. Lucifron needs to change his tactics, as he does not have the bank to sustain this. Every round of Locust, Lucifron is losing ground, he's losing money, he's losing units. He's unsieging his tanks, but I'm not sure if this is the right way to do it, because now they're prone to these Locusts. So many point defense drones were able to protect the tanks, so good move by Lucifron. And he's actually pushing away one of the spore crawlers, so that's a start. These Locusts are not getting that close, but now the Vipers have pulled in for the tanks, but there's actually no spine crawlers here, so these tanks are just firing down on all these queens. Lots of transfuses, so none of the queens have gone down. Finally able to destroy a queen, but these siege tanks are also going to go away. The spore crawlers are finally getting some action, as all these battlecruisers were pulled in. They Yamato down quite a few of these Vipers. And every time you pull in a battlecruiser, it actually disrupts their ability to cast the Yamato cannon, so that is something important to note. But even though Lucifron was able to push out a little bit, he hasn't actually gained that much ground. He was only able to destroy a few spore crawlers. Both armies are still maxed, but look at Lucifron's bank. He really needs this base to continue, but he's actually not mining from this one that much. 2 more tanks are pulled in. The Locusts are destroying the tanks, and they're going to be destroyed. And every time a tank is destroyed, Lucifron is not replenishing it. He's building more and more battle cruisers. And I think it's at a point now where the siege tanks cannot adequately deal with these Locusts. But Lucifron knows he doesn't have to do anything. Lucifron knows, or I'm sorry, Goswser user knows he doesn't have to do anything, as another battlecruiser is pulled in. He's going to Yamato again. Wasn't able to disrupt the Yamato. As these 2 lonely Vikings are pulled in twice, and they're going to get picked off and destroyed. This Raven is also the victim of the spore crawlers. Another Viking goes down. So these Vipers are just so effective, especially with this combination of free units of Locust. Lucifron is not able to gain ground, and he's just losing money every single minute. And Lucifron has to change something up. Goswser user is completely content. The last 20 minutes or 15 minutes of the game has just been at this choke point, where neither player has an advantage, but Lucifron and Goswser user are just going to go at it forever. But the thing is Goswser user doesn't really need much of an advantage, even though his advantage is so minute, and he's getting a 50 mineral advantage every 10 seconds. A very small advantage. That's going to carry himself until the end of the game, and he's got almost 20,000 minerals as well. And Lucifron is still stuck here. at least while all this is going on, he's able to start his base at the bottom position. So all the positions have been claimed. So Goswser will eventually mine out his bases first, and then after that, it will be up to Goswser to see if he's able to take this base away from Lucifron and claim it as his own. And if that happens, it will probably be lights out for Lucifron. He's got 30 swarm hosts, that makes 60 locusts. And with so many vipers as well. He has 13 vipers. The amount of pull-ins are amazing, but wow, 5 of the vipers got destroyed by Yamato cannons, but one of the battle cruisers is under attack and is going to be destroyed. It doesn't even get destroyed and then has fragments fall from it. It just poofs. It just incinerates. It just implodes into nothingness. I have never seen a game go on this long just on Vipers and Locusts and battle cruisers. And this one battle cruiser is taking a beating. It requires 3 pull-ins. It needs 3 abducts before it's able to go down with Blinding Cloud. Now these tanks are useless. The Locusts are charging in here, able to destroy a few of the tanks. But the tanks behind are able to cover their buddies in the front. And now Lucifron is constructing tanks, but look, he has less than 500 minerals. And so now the loss of the Terran units is very apparent. And it must be to Lucifron. He's not destroying any swarm hosts, any spore crawlers. And even though he's got so many Ravens and so many points defense drones, he has to understand that Locusts are free. And now it looks like this base is also under attack from so many infested Terrans. One of the planetary fortresses are going to go down, but nothing else. The time life on these infested Terrans is tiny. They are not going to survive. They're all just going to keel over. I'm not working overtime. Oh, yep, give up. Ugh. And Goswser must be smiling to himself right now. This game is almost 50 minutes long. Do you think Goswser could just, leave the keyboard for 5 minutes? Like, hey, Lucifron, dude, I'm just going to go to the washroom. I'll come back in 5 minutes or so. Because he's really in a position where he might be able to do that. Units lost and resources lost tell you what's going on here. And with 3 abducts, this battlecruiser is finally going to be destroyed. And another wave of locusts is coming in. And if you noticed, remember where we were about 15 minutes ago. We were around here at the sewers with these vents and the gases. And then now, 15 minutes later, it's recessed back to the refinery. So it's taken this long. And with 3 more abducts, this battlecruiser, 4 abducts, finally the battlecruiser is going to be destroyed. And I like the fact that Lucifron is building Vikings now, because Vikings do have much more range against air than battlecruisers, so they're able to focus down on these Vipers. But unfortunately, in combination with these spore crawlers, this situation is still going to be in Goswser's favor. These queens are going to be destroyed by Yamato cannons. And wow, look at that. Look at that carcass. Such big bones in a queen. But still, Goswser is still in a great position. He doesn't have to change anything, as all the action is still happening on this side of the map, on Lucifron's side of the map. The mules are going into overtime, and pretty soon all the minerals are going to be mined from this map. Goswser says, well, this could go on a while. He's absolutely right. Or you could just GG. But Lucifron has no intention of doing that. And you have to remember, this is the best of 5 series. This is an offline, well, not offline, but it is a tournament where they are playing next to each other. Lucifron is still in the game. I mean, anything can happen. He still has 200 supply, and so does his opponent. But the strategy has to change. And sending SCVs in here to try and cut spine crawlers in the center of the map is not part of that strategy. And now with so many corruptors, these Vikings are under intense pressure from the abducts. The battle cruisers are trying to come in here as well. 2 abducts. That battle cruiser is destroyed instantly. And more locusts are being destroyed, but they don't cost anything. And Lucifron really needs to think about a new strategy. You gotta ask yourself, is this working? And obviously from everybody's standpoint, everybody's saying, no, this isn't working. So what I'd like to see from Lucifron, and no disrespect to Lucifron, he's the pro player. He's been playing these games, he's been making money, but I'm not sure how he can just keep doing this and win. If he did some drops, if he attacked to the south, if he changed something up, something might change. Because the disadvantage of the swarm host is their mobility. Their mobility is very poor. So if you can get around the locusts, get around the swarm host, then you might be able to do something. But in this current state, Lucifron is sitting back and he's just taking hit after hit after hit, barrage after barrage after barrage. And Goswser knows this as well. That's why he said, you know, you could just GG. And the spore crawlers and the creep tumors are getting closer to Lucifron every second. It's very interesting to me also that Goswser did not try to apply any pressure to this base. Because if he sent a couple locusts, a couple swarm hosts here, and sent some locusts to this bottom base, then Lucifron would have to react. But both players just playing very safe. Neither of them are pushing. I think it's safe to say this game is going to go on for a while longer. And Lucifron really wants to close this. He has a 2-0 advantage currently. He really wants to win this game. He doesn't want a GG. He's still in a position where he can win. From Goswser's perspective, obviously he's not going to quit. He doesn't care how long it takes to win Game 3, because if he doesn't win, he's going home. So Goswser will stick until the very end. Lucifron, on the other hand, he does have a big bank, 4,000 minerals, but like I said, the map is basically mined out. Goswser has way more minerals, and the resources lost tab does confirm why. One infestor goes down from that tank. And now we're actually behind the refinery. So we started at the gas vents about 25 minutes ago. And after 25 minutes, we've moved about 10 or 15 squares in the game. So this is going to take a while. Goswser does know that he is winning. And so he's just going to keep pushing forward. He doesn't have to change anything. Look at how many kills these tanks have. 120, 130. Unfortunately, virtually all those kills are of units that don't cost anything. Now this game is just, and has been, a game of waiting. I think Goswser is going to win this game. Based on the way it's going, based on what Lucifron is doing and not doing, I don't see how Lucifron can turn this around. He has to change his strategy and do something else. The Vipers are going to come in here, pull in these tanks, and this is going to be possibly a huge momentum shift. Able to destroy those 3 tanks. And now the Locusts are actually past that Vespene Geyser. So Lucifron is slowly losing ground and is actually accelerating the last 5 minutes. This orbital command is also under attack. And the orbital command is burning down, so that's going to go down eventually too, unless it's repaired. And look at where the spore crawlers are now. Lucifron is going to try and defend the south side of this encampment, but that means the north side is totally exposed. So these tanks are not defended. They're going to fall. And finally, some action on the, near the middle of the map. As the Ravens are pulled in by a couple of Adducts, they both go down, and the orbital commands have been destroyed. So Goswser is very close. He's getting closer and closer every moment that passes. And look at the minerals for Lucifron, but especially notice his gas. He's got less than 50 Vespene gas. And without gas, he can't build anything other than Marines and SCVs. Oh, and Reapers, if you want to build some Reapers. Oh, no, Reapers need gas. So I'm just really curious about this army composition. We've got 14 Corruptors, 27 Swarm Hosts, and 11 Vipers. And we've got 5 Battle Cruisers with 26 Vikings. And this very well might be Lucifron's last stand. He's able to pick off 1 Spore Crawler. But obviously, that's a very small loss for Goswser, considering how many Spore Crawlers he has. And the fact that he's making so many infinite units. And actually, Goswser is making a mistake here. He's not really rallying his Locusts to attack down here. He's just rallying them to the old position, so they're just getting picked off by the tanks. Yeah, he needs to change this rally point, otherwise all these Locusts are just going to get picked off. As more Spore Crawlers are being created. A double Adduct on the Battlecruiser, and finally it's destroyed. And another wave of Locusts are coming in, and behind this army of Spore Crawlers, I don't think I've ever seen so many Spore Crawlers. A couple Yamada cannons do go down, so does a fungal growth. That Battlecruiser is picked off immediately. Wow, look at that burning wreckage fall into that pit. And that's probably one of the most annoying parts in the game as a Terran player, sending out a secret missile and it becoming a dud, doing no damage. And we've seen quite a few in this game. And still, Goswser is not doing anything about the rooting of these Locusts. They're just sitting here to die. I really believe if he was controlling that the end of the game would come much sooner. And look at this wall of Spine Crawlers. This is going to be so difficult for any player to get through. And finally, in engagement with the Corruptors are able to destroy a lot of the Vikings and Battlecruisers. And the resources lost are almost 20,000 in favor of Goswser. A couple of Vikings are pulled in, and they're eaten up instantly. And 2 more dud Seeker missiles. And that's what I'm talking about. It's just so frustrating as a Terran player to have those Seeker missiles just become useless. And that's one way to make sure the Seeker missiles hit, is to use them on ground units such as the Swarm Host that don't move. But now you can see a significant supply difference. Goswser is maxed out. Lucifron is only at 167. And why I say only, because the map is virtually mined out. So it'll be almost impossible for Lucifron to max out. So every time he loses a unit, that's basically the last time that unit's going to be around. There's a lone Hellbat here dealing damage to the Spore Crawler, and this Siege Tank in the front line can't do any damage because it has Blinding Cloud. And with the 30 supply advantage, Goswser is pushing ahead. Double Chain Fungal going down on those Vikings. A third one. Excellent Fungals. Not able to destroy anything, but once again, those Seeker missiles become duds. The Raven is pulled in and is now destroyed. And the supply difference, once again, is definitely in Goswser's favor. But we've got lots of Hellbats strolling in here, but they're getting picked apart by the Spine Crawlers. Gonna actually abduct one. Haven't seen that in a long time, an abduction on a Hellbat. And this is what happens when you don't have any gas. You're just gonna have to build Hellbats or Marines. But these Hellbats are taking significant damage from these infested Terrans. But there's still 4 Hellbats left, and they're just sitting here dealing blue flame damage. Mind you, these are not light units, so there's no extra damage. A Fungal does go down, able to destroy half of that Hellbat force. And finally, these last 2 Hellbats are going to get cleaned up. But Lucifron only has 500 minerals left. He's got to mine this top part. There's actually about 3,000 minerals up here. But he did throw away a lot of his SCVs earlier, but he should send some mules down here to get that minerals, because he does need those minerals. And now these Spore Crawlers are completely useless against this large contingent of Hellbats. But more Spine Crawlers are being constructed behind them, so that might be the end of that offensive. So this map is cut right down the middle now. These SCVs are being thrown in here, and they're destroyed easily. I'm not sure why Lucifron didn't use them to mine, or maybe use them as a temporary wall just for a little bit. Throwing them away like that for a unit you can't build back because you don't have enough resources, I think is a little bit strange. And Lucifron doesn't have any gas, and he doesn't have a lot of minerals. Goswser has half that problem. He doesn't have that much gas. Look how many minerals he has. He can build Zerglings all day. But Goswser is maxed out. Lucifron is 40 supply behind. And a couple tanks are pulled in, or one tank is pulled in with a couple Ravens. So those Ravens are going to explode immediately, and so is that tank. And it's going to become more and more dire for Lucifron as each unit is abducted into those Spine and Spore Crawlers. And Lucifron is going to move out here. He's not going to sit still anymore because he knows he cannot replenish any of these units. So finally he says, heck with it, I'm going to push. And this should be the last part of the game. Either Lucifron is going to be very successful, or it's going to fail horrifically. We're about to see huge Fungals go down. The Vikings aren't able to move, and they're taking significant damage. At the same time, all the Hellbats are destroyed on the left side of this offensive. And with a 60 supply disadvantage, Lucifron is very behind. Goswser has total control, as he has had for the last half an hour of this game. Another Fungal goes down, but misses. And the Locusts are still streaming in. I mean, the game changer is going to be those Locusts. Lucifron cannot produce any more units. These tanks are in position to take down these Spine Crawlers, but they're also in the range of the Spine Crawlers. And they're going to get pulled in finally, so the Siege Tank Rain is useless. Those Seeker Missiles become duds again, so those Ravens are impotent in helping in this, other than putting down point defense drones. And finally, there's a GG from Lucifron. So an hour and 14-minute game where Goswser was basically in control for half the game. He was just waiting there, and Lucifron did not want to change tactics. And unfortunately, eventually those Locusts and those Abducts just chipped away, literally chipped away at everything in Lucifron's army. And after an hour and 14 minutes, Goswser is going to force a game 4. So let's hope that game 4 is not nearly as long. And I'll see you guys there.